Welcome back everyone, this is Agent and I'm going to be casting a 1 versus 1 between TimidRat and mJET for the CastCraftAU StarCraft 2 tournament. This is game 2 in a best of 3 pre-season friendly series before the tournament actually commences. TimidRat is currently 1-0 after he was able to successfully defeat mJET through superior rating and macro. While a couple of mistakes by mJET on his own macro kind of allowed TimidRat to overtake him a little bit in terms of economy and military strength. Now this map is going to be played on Zelnaga Caverns, which is actually one of my favourite 1 versus 1 maps. Even though TimidRat is just saying here that he hates it the most, I kind of like it because there's lots of wide open spaces for battle while leaving you with a lot of options for your third. I mean, you can advance quickly into your third base here, or you can stick an expansion over here, or if you're feeling a little bit crafty, you can hide an expansion over on either the left or right side. The naturals are like the last map on Syrian Crater, actually a little bit harder to defend. We do have a couple of ways in, including the back door up here, which a lot of Protoss players like to use to put a pylon or a pylon even more aggressively down here so they can get a bit of a proxy warp in happening there. But you need to be very much aware of that when you're facing against a Protoss player. And now there's 2 watchtowers on this map which give pretty good coverage of the center map, but they don't quite reveal the outside edges, so you can still sneak some people around, you can still sneak some army around or a drop up the left hand side. There's also very little building space inside the main, so it's very, very conducive to fast expands. We'll see if we're going to see some of that. Looks like from our Protoss player TimidRat we are going to see a forge fast expand. Now I did see a pylon drop down here, but he cancelled that quickly. It looks like it got scouted, so we're not going to be seeing any sort of sneaky play there. I think mJET is likely to do a complete block here so that that's not going to be happening. He's got his gas up already, and once again only with 2 workers inside that refinery. I rarely like to think that that's a good idea. I always think that having 3 workers in there, if you're going to go to the expense of building a refinery, you need to have all 3 workers in there to maximize productivity there. Now that probe has been chased out. TimidRat's seeing everything that he needs to see. He's seen that there's 1 barracks and a full wall off going down. He's taking a quick look over at the towers to see if there's anything dodgy going on in the meantime. While all of this is going down, he's got his first gateway on, and he is preparing to throw down his nexus. There it goes now. So I think we've actually got a little bit of space in here through which an attack could come. Ordinarily when we see a forge fast expand, this gateway would be a little bit closer here, and we would see the cybernetics core go down here, completely blocking off this area here, forcing an opponent to come all the way around the minerals and up the ramp here. So it's not quite a full block, although normally that's mostly a concern against a Zerg player, and he is of course facing off against a Terran, so it's not as large a concern as we normally might think. He hasn't actually got his gas yet. He's chrono boosting out those probes, usually a good idea in the opening minutes of the game. And we're seeing sad face out of TimidRat. Looks like he managed to lose his worker there. Let's have a look. Yes, he did. So this SCV coming out in front of that little fight. Let's see what the Terran is up to, opening up his door, coming down for his own fast expand. This is very interesting. We're going to be seeing a much stronger macro play, I think, from mJET this time around. He's being very, when I say aggressive, I mean in terms of his economy. We are seeing a second barracks as well, so we might be seeing a large number of Marines coming out very, very rapidly. Still only 1 gas, so what have we got? Still only 2 harvesters in there. I don't think we're going to be seeing upgrades like I assumed last time, though he made the same mistake that time as well. I think we're going to be seeing some Marauder and Marine play out of mJET at this stage. Still no sign of a factory, though he has plenty of resources. He could easily continue to build more production facilities. We're going to see a 3rd barracks. That pretty much puts the nail in the coffin. He's going to be going for some more bio-ball oriented play, just as he did in the last game. We probably won't be seeing a great deal of factory units. Back down at the camp of the Protoss, he does have a couple of cannons here, successfully warding off that scout. I don't know how much information he actually got. See what this probe is about to build. How's he going for gas? He still hasn't built any gas at all, so we may be seeing some heavy zealot production. Either that, or he's going to be going for some additional cannons, which I think might be overkill at this stage. TimidRat tends not to build a lot of units real early on in a game, so I think perhaps we might see even another cannon or 2 before we see a couple of extra gateways of this warp gate tech. I really like to see this warp gate tech come down right away, but of course without having any assimilators he can't start that technology at all. So I'm curious, we'll see what kind of build he's going to be going. Here comes the 2 gas in his main. I wonder if he's going to drop down the 2 in his expansion as well. Looks like he might be. Maybe a little bit early for these extra gas because he doesn't quite have the mineral income to capitalise. He's got a reasonable, quite a good saturation here in his main. He needs to keep up the probe count though so that he can transfer. He should be setting this waypoint, I think, to his expansion, or at least transferring fully half of these probes down to that expansion. He needs to have a greater concentration of workers here than he does in his main. He's got both gases up here, 3 workers, only 2 workers over here. He's missed a worker, 3 here and 3 here. There goes the scan, not going to reveal anything. As a matter of fact, let's take a look at the Terran can. He didn't see anything out of that, but of course he's already seen the Forge Fast expand. There's not really that much to see. He knows that there's a cyber core here and that there is only 1 gateway. So he knows that there's not going to be a whole lot of early pressure. He feels quite comfortable right now with his expansion. He does need to transfer some of his workers over, and he needs to get an extra worker in this refinery here. In each refinery, wow, he's only got 2 workers in each refinery. That's fully 1/3 of his gas income negated there. We've got a factory with a reactor. I don't think he's done anything with that yet. Looking at the units tab, there's no factory units here. He has stopped producing SCVs and he's not using his energy for mules. I'm not sure if he's doing much scanning. Again, he hasn't upgraded this second command center. He's got plenty of resources. I'd really like to see this one upgraded to an orbital command, plus getting down this gas. Maybe a second factory or several more barracks. Looks like he is getting more barracks. I'd like to see some usage out of this factory. Did I call this a factory before? Excellent. That's actually a starport, of course. I hope that we're going to be seeing some additional medivacs over what he managed to produce last game. I'd really like to see him start making use of drops, which I still think is the real powerhouse of Terran beyond their ability to creep forward with tanks. mJET has shown himself not to be a particular fan of factory units, though. So, being a Bioball fan, he really needs to get these medivacs out so that, first of all, so he can make better use of his stim pack, which I'm not sure if he's researched yet. Let's take a look. Yes, he has. Doesn't have slow yet. Doesn't have concussive shells. But I'd really like to see him making greater use of, besides having a bigger Bioball itself, he needs more medivacs so that he can make better use of that stim pack. Obviously that requires 10 health from each unit every time he uses that. The more medivacs you have, the more medivac energy you have, which translates into more usage of stim, which is an excellent ability to have, especially against Protoss who have fewer but stronger units. Also, the use of the medivacs to drop into the back here is always a good thing, especially against a player who is really cannoning up at the front here. He's going to have a hard time getting in the front door even without many units. I think if he were to attack straight up right now, he'd be able to cause a fair bit of damage here. TimidRat, of course, starting now, he's getting a very, very high gateway count. He's got 7 gateways there, plus the one at the front, and he's chrono boosting out this warp gate. By the time this is done, he's going to have quite a substantial bank built up. He's going to be able to do some very rapid warp-ins. I was just about to say I'd like to see a proxy pylon at some location so that he can make best use of all those warp gates that he's very soon about to have. Might see a few immortals coming out as well. Firstly, the observer, by the look of it, he wants to see what he's going to be walking into. I don't think mJET is aware of these proxies yet. He is not. Building up quite a healthy army size. Still only 2 medivacs. Again, I know I keep repeating myself saying this, but you really need to have more medivacs when you're going very heavy Bioball. You just need to have that extra a bit of energy so that you can continue to break out those stims and so that you can continue to make drops in as many locations as you can. He is keeping up the scouting though, which is quite good. He's looking around to make sure that there's nothing dodgy going on. He's looking for proxy stargates as well as expansions hidden in the sides here. Looks like TimidRat doing the same thing, checking out this expansion on the left. I don't know whether he intends to build it or whether he was merely scouting it out. I think with this kind of resource count, now would be a really, really good time to make an expansion. He does have a reasonable defense here. I'd like to see a couple of sentries just to be sure that his opponent doesn't stim straight through this area here. He's just been scanned. His opponent knows exactly what's coming. And that, wow, did that scan reveal? I think it did. He may have seen just how many stalkers just warped in, which is a big reveal. He's going to know that he's going to be up against some very, very serious aggression sooner rather than later, I suspect. He does have quite a substantial army, but he doesn't have enough here to repel. If TimidRat decides to attack now, with what he has here, along with these 1 or 2 immortals that are on their way, This army alone is not enough to take out the army that is up here. He's mass producing these Marines. He doesn't have enough. But if you include the fact that there's a pylon up here, and what have we got? A total of 8 warp gates. Has he got plenty of energy? Not that much, but enough to chrono boost most of them. He's going to be up against 12 units additionally every 25 seconds. That's a lot of pressure that he's going to have to be able to repel. He does have a lot of barracks. Most of them are producing. Taking a look at the production tab, we're producing 8 Marines and 2 Marauders at once, along with 1 more Medivac. Again, I'd still like to see maybe a half a dozen Medivacs up here. The count is getting up to where it should be, but he needs to start dropping. He needs to be very, very aggressive with this army and this sort of play. When you're not going to be going factory units, you're much better off staying out of a stand-up direct confrontation. And it looks like we are going to see a straight-up confrontation here. He's seen it. He knows it's coming. That scan did detect it. There's an expansion over here coming for TimidRat. In fact, that's almost down. This is going to make all the difference when you've got this many warp gates. He is going primarily gateway units. There was an Immortal or 2 on its way, I believe. There's the Immortal there. I'd like to see that included with the army for the added benefit that it will have against the Marauders. There are mostly Marines, but there are enough Marauders here to want a specialized means of dealing with that. Out comes a scouting Marine here just to see where that army has gone. He's not going to run into much here, but there's a lot of pylons here. Looks like TimidRat gearing up for a very, very solid macro game here. He wants this gold expansion. He's already got this one. It's been spotted by mJET. He started producing. He needs to transfer. Now's a good time to get half of these workers out of here into the expansion. As long as he's going to be able to defend this, he's left the back door open. I don't know if mJET realizes that. Here comes a massive push here. Oh, TimidRat's army coming back into position, but I don't know that he's got enough here. Losing a couple of stalkers there automatically when power went down. Wow, I think that mJET is way ahead in this confrontation. He's got those stims coming out. He's got the right unit composition to defeat this primarily stalker-heavy army. Scanning just to make sure he gets a hold of any possible DTs or observers that are in the area. And he's way ahead in this engagement. He's looking in really, really good shape. Plenty of Medivac energy to keep those stims coming. He has a great number of units, and I don't think that these zealots, even if they have legs, is going to be enough to stop this. Those cannons might hold him off for a little while. He really needs to be chrono boosting these warp gates to get units out as quickly as he can. But TimidRat now in a lot of trouble. If he chrono boosts out units very, very quickly, he might stand a chance here. But I feel sure he's going to lose this expansion. Constant stream of reinforcements coming in from mJET. He needs to set rally points. He's done that. Very excellent play here. Needs to keep up the SCV count while he's attacking. I really feel like he should be expanding. He's definitely got the resources to afford it. He's got plenty of Medivac energy to keep this attack. You know what? He's actually used most of his Medivac energy, but the battle is largely won at this point. TimidRat, I don't think he's going to get this level 2 weapons up. He's going to lose all of these structures. He does have this base up here, not really doing much mining from it. mJET making his expansion. This really looks like it's going all the way south for TimidRat. I can't see how he's going to be able to recover from this. I think we're going to be seeing a GG before too long. Actually, we have quite a high zealot count here. Good for meat shield, but he needs some damage dealing capability like those immortals behind him if he's actually going to clean this army up. Oh wow, I don't think we're going to be able to repel this. I really think mJET has got this in the bag. All of this meat's just being systematically destroyed by these high HP Marauders and stim-packed Marines. I think we're going to be seeing a GG very, very soon. There's just not enough here. He's now fully mined out of his main base with almost no work being done at his expansion. He's out of money. I think we're done here. mJET is going to be taking this game down, tying up the series 1-1. And wow, we're really just holding out here for the GG, but this game is all but over. There it is, TimidRat finally conceding the game, and this series is tied up 1-1, each player having taken one game. We are going to be going into a third game. This series was played during the time when the terms and conditions of the tournament enforced the third map to be Terminus. So we are going to be seeing a third game on the Terminus map, and I will see you guys then. This is Agent for CastCraftAU over and out.